It's now over 8 months since 36 men, women and children were cast away on the remote Hebridean island, Taransay. Their first winter together was a stormy affair as they struggled to adapt to their new home and to living with each other.
Let me finish!
No, don't finish. I'm going to finish.
The spring and summer months have brought calmer weather to Taransay, but in the new Castaway community, things are far from settled.
Whoever wants to say to me f***ing face and say tomorrow. If you don't want to say it, well, f*** off.
J'accuse.
I feel like there's a witch hunt going on now for me.
It's Mayday, and bathed in glorious sunshine, the Castaway community comes together for a day of celebration.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first annual Children's Mayday concert. Hooray!
The Mayday sunshine is a welcome relief from the 4 months of wind, rain and freezing temperatures that the castaways have had to endure.
I can't believe they both did it!
Just got it away. And Liz spotted it.
Castaway man!
Despite the freezing sea temperatures, the castaways take their turn in the Taransay stocks as the Mayday celebrations come to a wet but happy conclusion. The happy mood of Mayday is a stark contrast to the unsettled atmosphere back in March, when Ray Bowyer dramatically left the island and sold his story to a newspaper. The resentment felt by many of his fellow castaways becomes the centerpiece of the Mayday festivities.
We're making this wicker man in the likeness of a certain individual who is no longer among us. Long may it continue to be so.
I think it's brilliant. I think we've not only done him justice, we've actually flattered him a bit. He actually looks better looking, doesn't he?
Well, I hate us, but he shouldn't have done what he did. Anyway, it's a bit of a laugh. Hopefully he'll have a few drinks on us.
Ash?
You're right.
Yeah.
Have a look.
I think it's quite sinister to say it's right, really.
But it's got the ponytail, it's got that bottom jaw, it's got the glint in his eyes.
That is,
So
I
we're gonna
love
burn him at the stake.
the beer cans for the eyes.
I
Comes
do,
on
very
you.
appropriate.
What do you reckon?
Now all he needs is a copy of the mirror.
And a phone in
And a
his
phone
hand.
in his hand.
And me with the camera.
Following objections from some members of the community, the beard and ponytail are removed, and it's simply a wicker man that is ceremoniously burnt that night. But it's clear that Ray's departure from the island, and particularly his behaviour during the final weeks on Taransay, has created suspicion amongst the community.
You know I've got to film everything, Ray.
Turn the camera off.
Ray?
During his last days on Taransay, Ray refused to be filmed. But then he had a sudden change of heart.
Ray's agreed to let me film him.
Ray's list of demands and his erratic behaviour made some of the castaways question Ron's motives for suddenly getting close to him.
Whether he meant to have an influence over Ray or not, he did. And I couldn't help, and I almost know I'm not the only person. I perceived and I picked up signals from what Ray was suddenly saying that blatantly hadn't come from Ray.
I spoke to somebody and they gave me a list of what to say to you.
My perception was that he was influenced. Whether Ron knew he was influencing him or not is another question, but that was my perception of it.
There's been all sorts of turmoil over the past few weeks, and it all began with Ray's departure, how he went, trust in the community. My part in all of that involves Ron alone, only Ron. And I expressed my view that, in my opinion, Ron had enticed or encouraged Ray to go to the press with his story.
There's been a lot of vitriolic stuff spewed about Ron the last few days.
Well, I've had a problem on the last couple of months in my relationship with Ron, and that's just because we don't see eye to eye on certain things, and so, you know, there's that in the air, and I suppose you could say that some personal relationships have suffered.
Get out of my face!
Malcolm!
Get out of my face!
You can turn round!
I have just got up!
You can turn round!
Ron is a powerful man, and I told Ron to his face that if I would be scared to say the wrong thing to Ron, and for him to rear up and point in my face and swear, wow,
We'll see. We'll see.
For many, this was not the first time that Ron had been a manipulative influence on the community. Ben, in particular, felt under pressure after 4 months of Ron's rumours and snide comments.
Peter put it down to psychological bullying, if that makes any sense. And I've never experienced it before, so that's perhaps why I was so weak in coping with it. But when you're stuck on an isolated island and there's only the 36 of you, it is more affecting, because you've got no one else to talk to, and it's there constantly in your face, happening every day.
Ben was one of many to express concerns during a visit by the production team, which prompted an emotional inquest into who said what and about who.
If you've got anything to say it to my face in front of everyone, all right? No, I won't calm it, all right?
It was just appalling. There were people going around accusing me. J'accuse! Really going into it.
You never said to me, do I want to come and hear what you've said about me that was so bad that they wanted me off this island?
What did you say? What's this? What's that? What's the other?
I'm so shocked that just happened. I'm so shocked.
There's not a witch hunt out for you, so you don't...
No, I'm going actually. Inco?
There were tears, accusations, recriminations. It was just appalling.
Whoever wants to say to me face and say tomorrow. If they don't want to say it, well, off. And no disrespect to anybody. They've got no qualms with me. I've got no qualms with anybody. And they want to say it straight.
It was the most horrendous thing I've had to live through for a very long time.
After the public trauma, the private inquest continues in Ben's pod room.
Ron and Ben have not spoken to each other properly in over 2 months, and why is that, Pat? Why is that? It's a competing for affection.
I know Ron is jealous of
fair,
Ben.
though, Gwyn? Is that
no,
fair?
it isn't fair.
Why are we having
but
this
it's a
conversation?
human. That's part of being human. Some people are like that. There's nothing you can do about it.
People are saying things about Ben that are wholly untrue in front of other people in this community, and there are only 36 people in this community. I don't feel that's fair.
I tell him if I don't like what he's saying, I
You're very
tell him.
strong. You've told him that. Maybe not other people have told him. There's 36 people in this island. Maybe Ron can cope. Maybe Ron can cope with you saying it to him, but if other people start saying it or snubbing him, then it's a different story.
I think I'm getting feelings like we can say what we want to Ron, and Ron is... But
he accepts it.
Yeah, but other people can't. It was very upsetting. People were deeply hurt, and it's taken over the weekend to sit down and talk with people and try to come up with what's gone wrong and who said what and different things, and we've still not really got to the bottom of it.
And that was hard in my room, like I said, with all those people. You know, to try and to have to say to Patrick and Gwyneth, who are very fond of Ron, you know, he's been being horrible to me for a long time. Sounds really childish. I feel like a little child again. It's just really weird. I do. I feel like I'm back at prep school or something and, oh, Mum, he's been mean to me, he's been bullying me. Does it feel? That's what it feels like.
Everything has to be faced up to. Nothing can be swept under the carpet. No sort of little emotional hang-ups, no insecurities, because they resurface and they resurface.
In a bid to improve relations between them, Ben visits Ron's pod room for a chat.
Over the last few weeks, Ron, there's been so many little Ben rumours going around, yeah? And there's as small as Gwyneth doing Ben's washing, or as small as Ben using the phone, teeny things, yeah, which, yeah, you should normally be able to laugh about. But it's sort of like the Chinese water torture where it drips and every day and then suddenly another one comes back. And then suddenly Tammy is told that that Tanya and I are seeing each other and this thing flares up. And then suddenly someone's told this and someone's told that. And to tell you the truth, that all of those little rumours and those little things, they always seemed to work their way back to you. In my eyes, I'm telling you, that's the way it was. They seemed to work their way back to you.
You add up things, and so do I. I'm just the same as you. You know, things happen, things are said. You know, we have a communication problem. There's a barrier, there's a mistrust.
I've sensed it. I'm usually pretty good at picking up that. I don't know why it's there. People have said that they think, and I don't even understand why it would be, but they've said it must be a jealousy thing. I don't know. I don't know. I've picked up vibes, Ron, from you coming out.
I'm sorry that you feel that. I'm sorry that you feel that.
I don't think Ron will have to look that far, because people have openly said that they're intimidated by him, that they find him difficult. He's vaguely accepted that, not entirely. I don't think he fully realizes how he can affect some people, like me. I'm sure I don't know what to believe. Maybe he didn't know how it might have been affecting me. A lot of other people saw it.
When Ron first came to the island, he was in this room, just sat there, and he said to me, "Toby, there are some people on this island that I will be friends with. And there are some people on this island I won't be friends with all year. Now, I like to see our friendship as a little present that I can unwrap later in the year, which basically means I don't want to be your friend," which was fine by me, but now he must be miserable now because he's alienated himself from everyone. And, you know, when you've said something like that to me, Ron, I'm not going to try and help you out, mate, I'm afraid. It's up to you now, pal.
It's late March, and the arrival of the fortnightly mail boat is a welcome distraction from the recent upheavals. The castaways have a limited budget to buy food and provisions. Achieving self-sufficiency takes time, and until then their budget provides essential supplies and a weekly personal allowance of £5 per person for small individual luxuries.
One of the frustrations actually is having to wait for stuff to arrive. You know, normally you're at home and you want to do something, you just go straight ahead and do it. Whereas here you have to always wait for things to come. We've been waiting for the fence post for a couple of weeks, we've been waiting for the plough for even longer. You can't just sort of nip down to B&Q and get whatever you need. So you have to learn a fair degree of patience, which is always a bit of a shock to the system for me.
On arrival, all supplies are delivered to the kitchen, where they are checked and logged by Supply Supremo Sandy Colbeck, who has restored some order to the supplies chaos of earlier in the year.
What had happened is that previously, you know, things would arrive and a lot of things would go missing, or people seemed to hoard things, and that was despite repeated, you know, requests for them not to do it. But it carried on happening.
As part of her new regime, Sandy keeps a close eye on the stocks of supplies.
Kilo packs, is it? A lot of people don't understand the idea of having limited resources. But I can remember what it was like when I was little, after the war, when there was hardly any money, hardly any food. you had to be careful. You had to make last what you had. And if you ran out of money and food on Thursday and you couldn't go to the shops until Saturday, then Friday you were hungry.
More highly prized than any supplies are the mailbags, which have become a key part of the Castaway experience.
I mean, I'd never realised how important letters could seem until you're here and it's your only official mode of contact, you know.
Yeah.
The mailboat comes in, we're all scrambling down there to see what we've got, whether you've got half a dozen, whether you've got 10, whatever it might be.
Oh, I've got half a dozen all of a sudden, you've got 10. Well, like 74.
Under the rules of the project, the castaways are allowed to receive letters, but not parcels. But when parcels start to arrive, the community is divided over what's an acceptable size.
And as you can see, they're all regulation size as well. Quite slim. Look at the edge of that. Very thin, that. So.
Well, I could have done without them. Well, because you're not really missing much then, are you? And it makes a bit of a mockery of the personal allowance. Because the idea of the personal allowance is to just to wait and only have things that you really, really do need. And maybe you don't even need those. And are they parcels, Gwyneth? If you're a true castaway, you wouldn't have parcels, would you? Because there wouldn't be a postman.
Soon it will be time to plant the crops and to protect them from the island's hungry deer. An 8-foot perimeter fence must be built. Des has got a cunning plan to enlist volunteers.
Well, it's all dependent on getting some sort of, great team spirit and some bit of camaraderie and a bit of competition going, really.
I think it's going to be teams, so whatever team, quick, sharp.
That's right, and if we do it in 2 weeks, maybe there'll be 24 cans of lager.
24 cans of lager.
2 weeks' work for 24 cans of lager. That must be about 24 quid. How much is that per person? It's about 4 cans of lager each if there's 6 of us in the team.
That's right.
How sad is it that we're working for a can of lager?
Ben, Mike and Tammy are the first to take up Des's challenge with mixed results.
Ben, the idea is to get the post in the ground, not much the time.
That looks like the end of a cartoon stick of dynamite, doesn't it? We're slightly behind our 4-hour schedule, but if we do 50 posts between the 3 of us, that's it, we're off.
How many?
50.
How many have we done?
I don't know, 20?
I've only got 250 of those to put in.
How many, Des?
250 of those we've got to put in. Into 2 feet, 2 feet of sand, or sometimes it's bits of granite.
How fast should we put it in?
Just whack it on.
Never ones to miss an opportunity, Toby and Trevor sink a post in the middle of a stream in a bid to wind up Des.
How's it going? Yeah, got that completely out. What?
That is all over the place.
Des has phenomenal energy. Sometimes his manner rubs people up the wrong way.
I mean, if you go and have a look at it from the top, you'll find there's it's a Saturday afternoon job.
But his heart is really in it. He's really focused on doing as much as he can. And, at times I think it's difficult for people to keep up with his energy. And sometimes they just think, oh, for heaven's sake, just you want to do it, you go and do it, leave me alone.
We did our best. I know.
But on the whole, he's really good at getting things going. In fact, if he hadn't been here, we wouldn't have done half of the things that we've done. And the same with Peter. They've come in for a lot of stick. But we couldn't have done it without them.
The community horse, Ailey, will be used to plough the land. Des and Trish decide to test her pulling power with a lighter load of shingle.
We've been wheelbarrowing shingle for the last few weeks, and we've done about 40 barrels, and we still haven't covered the front bit of the steading. They come along with the horse, one load, do the lot. That's my week's work, I'll get my wages cut because of you.
Pulling a homemade cart built out of driftwood and washed-up boys, Ailey passes her first test.
I think everyone's been quite disparaging about whether she would be able to plough or not, but I mean, this system seems to be working quite well. So, I mean, they've managed to put it together quite well. She seems to be doing that no problem, but it doesn't really look like she's using any energy in doing it either.
Walk on, girlie, go on. Go on. Go on. Good
With time running out to get the crops in the ground, the pressure is mounting on both Ailey and Trish to live up to the community's expectation that she share some of the workload, and, more importantly, that she pulls the plough.
Well done, Trish.
Over the moon. No, well done, Dad, for the design.
No, but yeah.
Because I was going to build a sledge.
Despite the successful trials, nobody is really sure whether Ailey can rise to the challenge.
Walk on. Go on, go on, go on. Go on. Go on. Walk good girl,
Let me
walk
get
on.
some pace up and then I'll lure it in again.
Walk on. Go on, good girl.
Even with Des helping to balance the plough, it's clear that Ailey is struggling.
Sure, she's not used to it, Trish, but is that normal?
No, not in the first line.
She shouldn't be panting that heavy.
No. As much as I want her to plough, I'm going to say no.
Due to the delay in starting to plough, the community decides to hire a rotavator to turn the soil. But despite being behind schedule, they remain optimistic about their agricultural prospects.
I think it's reputed to be very, very fertile. This Macchia ground is famous for its fertility. It seems very light to stuff that I'm used to, and I'm sure it's a bit acidic. So I know it's very good for root vegetables, and not so good for hungry vegetables like the brassicas and stuff, although they assure me, the locals, that you can grow very good cabbages and stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping it'll be all right. Everything we've planted in earlier on in the polytunnels has been incredibly dramatic and exuberant and fertile. So yeah, it's an amazing place. They say that the season is very compressed, but very, very, very long growing period with the length of days. So although this is much later than I'd be doing further south in Gloucestershire, say a month later, you've actually got that incredible amount of growing time because the sheer length of the days is just incredible already.
Most of the castaways are delighted to finally be digging and planting, but there are some not so willing workers.
It's just boring. Laborious and boring. But then some of the people here are. So, there you go, really. I've got my thoughts about why I shouldn't be doing work like this. And every now and again I think, well, I could be wrong, I'll give it a go. Let's see what they get out of it. But, it's not for me.
Some people don't want to be particularly manual. They don't want to get stuck into things. They just don't care whether we actually achieve that status of self-sufficiency, because maybe in their mind, by the time we start running out of budget, they won't actually be around.
In all seriousness, they're planting potatoes. But I think they're only planting potatoes because they don't want to sit down and think or really communicate with each other. So keep busy, keep busy, keep busy. Then we won't have to know each other. How convenient will that be? A whole year of living with these people and going home and going, who were they?
Sitting in your room talking about whether you're going to come or whether you're going to go, or whether who said this about you or whatever, to me is not work. You know, it's just chatter.
So let them plant potatoes that are that big to get ones that big. I rest my case. You can go to Sainsbury's, you buy a bag that big, the size you want them.
It's really been a battle between people who want to go out and do things and people who don't want to go out and do things. And the divisions there's been resentment between the two divisions, because the ones that do go out and do things think, well, why should we go out and do things while so-and-so is just sitting around not doing anything, not contributing to the community at all, and just living the life of Riley, really, treating the place as a holiday camp.
Elsewhere, preparations are underway for the latest departures from Tarrantay.
Shampoo and set, Donny.
The fate of the 6 puppies has divided the community since their arrival, but it was decided that they should be rehomed, all except Floozy, Julie Lowe's new best friend.
You can't have this one, because this one's mine.
Like Julie, Ron had wanted to keep one of the puppies, Now he decides to raise the issue once again.
I'd like to keep one of the puppies. So I suppose I'm asking what you think about it, really.
The dog rules are being flouted all the time. Whatever rules you make, they're being flouted. There was a puppy in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, how much can you say to dog owners?
Well, I've already discussed this with Rosemary. On the days I teach the children, I'll have the dogs outside the schoolhouse.
What's
Because...
the training?
Oh, I'm not going to get into it. There's only
Well,
so
Ron,
much.
you have to get into it.
There's-
You have to.
They're border collies, for God's sake. They get
Well,
drenched.
that's the point. That's our
You know,
point.
But are you happy with that? Because, you know, it's...
if I say I will not bring them in the schoolroom, they will not be in the schoolroom.
Well, you just said you couldn't get into it, so which are you saying? That you can't get into it, or they will not go in?
I'm not going to get into this stupid game, Roger. I will not get into the
Well,
stupid
no.
game.
Well, it sounds as if that's the case. You won't get a puppy wrong. You get into it or you don't.
You had a puppy in there the other night. You were not trying to get it out.
When?
A couple of nights ago, I saw you in the kitchen. Your puppy was hidden under the shelves at the back.
When no one else was in the kitchen at
It
night.
doesn't matter. Your puppy is not allowed in the kitchen, and you were making no effort to remove it.
Who's ever said that dogs are not allowed in the kitchen?
Let's go back to a meeting. We probably got it on tape, Ron.
There are people here who, because of the constant moaning by, say, Ron and Roger, that they've tended to get sick, fed up to the back teeth of all this moaning, and they've taken to abstaining from the meeting, not attending at all. I don't think that's quite sad. And in a way, they shouldn't do that because, you know, however tough it gets, you know, you should try and plough on and work as well as you can to finding solutions to these problems. But when someone's moaning and moaning and moaning all the time, it just gets too tiring to do that.
So can Ron keep the puppy? All those in favour? And those against? 1, 2, 3. 15 to 3 in favour of Ron. Congratulations, Ron, you have your puppy.
Good.
A lot of people here, believe it or not, they say that they're not animal people and they come to live on an island where, I mean, listen to us, we are surrounded by sheep and there's cows and there's horses, you know, and there's chickens and there's chicken shit and there's cow shit and there's every shit imaginable, you know, and they don't want to come and live with germs.
It's an emotional occasion for Trish as she completes the formalities and gives up the 4 remaining puppies for rehoming. For the children too, it's a sad day.
And just think there'll be another Jodine somewhere. Who'll look after Merlin. And they'll play with them all day and it'll be the only puppy that they've got instead of one of lots of them. Yeah.
All the fuss over a couple of little puppies. I mean, I'd rather have kept all the puppies and sent some of the people home. It's true. There are some people here I'd like to put on a boat and say bye-bye, see you in my next lifetime, and keep all the puppies.
Bye, puppies.
There was a happier end to the day for Ron as he discovered when the boat returned later.
Yeah, the guy that came to collect the puppies and find them new homes, I gave him a cheque to get some... I asked him to get some alcohol and some cigarettes and some tobacco. Contraband. Which we're being discouraged from doing. But my argument is that we are deprived of the people we love. We're deprived of... Well, we're deprived of people we left behind, and I find that the toughest part of this, and I think a little bit of tobacco or a little drink every now and again is compensation. So I got me Benson and Hedges, Smirnoff, lovely, lovely cocktails on the terrace. Oh, I got my little backs of backy, look. Oh, lovely, lovely. Nice big litre bottles of brandy.
Oh, Tennant's. Tennant's lager. Oh, lovely things. Lovely. Oh, lovely. And it feels better because you shouldn't do it. See, that's going to cause some real happiness in the community. I mean, just, you know, I'm not saying I'm going to share it with all of them, because some of them are all miserable kids. And I wouldn't share a bleeding doner kebab with some of them, let alone my contraband.
4 months in, 1/3 of the way through their year together, the castaways see the first signs of spring. But for some, their thoughts are elsewhere.
You had a rough week last week.
Yeah. But that was to do with feeling homesick, missing home, which I knew would happen.
You know, on a personal level, it's very difficult to deal with certain emotions about missing people. I keep thinking about my family.
Some people never mention it, but that's all it needs sometimes, is somebody else to say it, and then they'll open up, and you're all going through the same thing.
It's very, very hard to not be able to just pick up the phone and call my dad and my mum. And we're not, you know, I don't call my dad and my mum all the time. It's just now I can't.
You can look at a person now if they're wandering across to the schoolhouse. You know, you just sense there's something up, so you follow them behind them and just sit down and have a talk with them. And they are opening up now.
Yeah.
You know, even with tears, some of them, like, which is, you know, you're there to comfort them and just find out what the problem is and try and help.
What'd you be doing back at home now, Mike?
I'd be at work, wearing a shirt and a tie.
Yeah.
Almost clean shaven, tidy haircut, in a centrally heated office, drinking shite coffee out of a machine, eating junk food every day, and just basically doing the 9 to 5 or the 8 to 4 or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Yourself?
I'd be saying clutch down into one, lively up to bike, bring the clutch up slowly.
There's a familiar scene out in the paddock where Ben's in hot pursuit of some elusive lambs. After a productive lambing season, the community is awash with young lambs who must now be brought in for castration and tail docking. There have also been developments over in the pig pen.
Patrick, Gwyneth and myself are proud parents of a fresh litter of pigs.
You know, I think 6 is plenty for us because we've still got 9, the original ones. So it could possibly be pork every day for a few weeks. Pork and lamb.
In time, all these lambs will be slaughtered and eaten. Meanwhile, the male lambs are in for a different kind of chop.
That goes round the balls and round the tail. And you've got this lovely torture weapon that it goes on the end of. So it's quite hard. Like that, and then...
The piglets too need attention and must have their teeth clipped to spare mother pig, Molly, any further discomfort.
I actually feel
sick.
Okay, and I'm pulling it away.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay, good boy.
A few weeks after she failed to pull the plough, the community awakes to shocking news about Ailey.
Tammy's just came and she was banging the door. She just said, I need to come and see the horse. And I went, why? What's wrong with her? Oh no, the horse is fine, but there's something sitting in the middle of the field. And I went, it's a cracker of a foal. Absolute cracker of a foal.
It's fantastic.
He's massive. He's
massive.
massive.
That leg seems so long.
He's not long been born, so he's a wee bit low on his hocks.
Is it boy or girl?
It's a wee girl, Jodine. It's.
Can we take it home, Mum? Can we take it home? No, I want to take it home.
Oh God, there's not a lot of grass here, is there? Oh God, more hay, more arguments. Oh my God.
More debate. Do we keep him or do we send him back? Keep him, keep him. He's so cute, look at him.
After weeks of hard slog, the deer fence is nearly finished.
Started pulling it.
There's a sense of fulfilment also that when you finished a job, start a job and you finish it. Even though I didn't actually start it. Just nice to get it done.
Feels a bit like cold, actually, doesn't it?
Well, we locked ourselves in, haven't we? We're inside now.
Only a YTS and all.
It's the last final bit of the sort of big infrastructure thing of the island, you know. We've now got the fence, we've got the area rotivated, we've got, you know, the plants going, and it's just planting out now and hoping that we can grow the stuff.
I'm only working on it so I can get a beer at the end. Only been on a couple of hours, that's it.
I've not said to any of the boys, but and Hillary and Trish, but I brought 3 cans of Stella with me, and it's like, you know, the old Shawshank Redemption when people drank beer on the roof of the old wash house or whatever it was, you know. So we're all going to sit in the sun, look out to over the area that we've enclosed. Exactly, Mikey. Yeah, and we're going to have a little drink to celebrate.
Stella. Oof. That could be worth hanging around then.
Well done, Trish.
Oh, thanks,
Stephen.
Well done, Roger. Well done.
Well done, Roger.
Oh.
Is Mikey allowed to sit?
Oh, the fizz.
Is he allowed to sit?
Oh, that is better than homebrew. Got to say, better than old Cloudy. Or old McLeany. Yeah, old McCleary or McLeany, yeah.
They've been taking the piss lately out of my beer. Especially that Monk's, Des Monk's. For it being cloudy. And I'm in a no-win situation here. All week long, they nag me, is the beer ready, is the beer ready? And I go, well, not really, but here's your bottle anyway, I advise you to leave it. Some people leave it and it settles and clears, and it turns out to be a nice beer, and other people just drink it straight down. I must admit, I'm one of those people.
Happy birthday, Trev!
Whether it's a cloudy home brew or a drop of bubbly put aside for a special occasion, the parties always go with a swing. But while the younger castaways have enjoyed themselves without many of the trappings they enjoy at home, they have also discovered unexpected pressures they've had to deal with.
It's so weird because here you've got the juxtaposition of being here and supposedly being away from all those sorts of modern trappings and away from makeup and posh clothes and parties and having to care so much about your appearance. But I've also got far more pressure here from my peers because of the way the lads here view me and view the other girls here.
Come on, girls.
You haven't got any shoes?
I'll see, take your time.
How's sex going then, Mike? You getting any?
Sex, well, about as much as
Toby.
Yeah. Hey!
Oh, I'm getting absolutely
zero. It's not really getting hard. Pardon the pun. It's not really getting hard.
That's why you're not getting any. The wind blows, mine goes hard.
So that what I thought was going to be a sense of freedom has actually become far more pressured than at home. And it all sort of culminated for me really in when everyone went swimming.
So we're expecting it to be a little bit chilly. It's lovely colour though today. It's really turquoise, so it's got to be warm. And I think we're going to die.
I suddenly felt that there was this huge pressure of, oh, you know, let's try and get Tanya in a swimming costume. And I don't know, that sounds crap.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Right. Team spirit. Stop! I'll set you for a race. Hey!
March the 29th, we did it!
I haven't seen so many shapely bodies in months either.
And it was me that felt the pressure. I'm sure it didn't come from them. But at the end of the day, when and everyone went swimming, and I was standing near to a couple of the lads, and they were making very sort of lascivious, is that the right word, comments about Tammy and Philly, and I thought, that's not what I'm about, you know. I'm not here to be leched at.
First bit of skin I've seen since last Christmas.
When I go out walking in the morning, I get this great sense of release from caring about that side of myself. And then as soon as you come back into the community, all eyes are on you. And there's absolutely no escape at all from anything.
Really nice. Cold, but if you stay in there, it numbs you, so you just absolutely...
It's brilliant, actually. And I feel warmer now than I did walking down here, because obviously I've got so cold. So I feel quite warm now. But yeah, it's brilliant. And the way it's going to be in the summer is absolutely amazing. It's going to be brilliant.
Bit on Tammy, which is really good to report. She seems to be really, really happy all the time now, and it's really good. Whatever was making her upset before, either she's dealing with it better or it's disappeared. But whatever it is, it's just great to see her back on top form. And she's a great girl. Been spending time with her. Go on, speculate on that. Everyone here bloody well is.
Because it is so tight-knit, not saying everybody gets to find out, but you can't really do anything without everybody else knowing, which in some ways is good, because the likes of Sandy, now he wasn't feeling too well, everybody notices straight away and they're up there to help. So that's in a good positive way. In a negative way, if you're just having a quick snog with somebody, you know, and then somebody spots it, then, you know, I don't know, you could say even Toby, say, for example, as a loose example, and that, if Toby was having a snog and say,
with,
you know, hindsight, with who?
With...
I know you could say Tammy, I suppose.
Okay,
for instance. We'll use them as...
For instance,
yeah. For instance. And that... then basically everybody knows, including maybe 9 million viewers.
Yeah, how did they find out?
If that type of thing happened. Yeah. And that's how rumours start, and we all get pulled in and the crap hits the fan.
Just be terrible.
The continued improvement in the weather is reflected in the mood of the castaways.
Last week was amazing weather, and it seemed like spring was really on its way.
I adore this place, it's brilliant, and I still, every day, stop and look round and realise where I am and how lucky I am to be here.
The strange thing about the island is that without trees and shrubs, it's really difficult to actually recognise the signs of spring.
I've just been for a second run in 2 days. It's great, run up to the bothy along the coast with the sun on my left, and then past the bothy to the Standing Stone, up round the back to the Dun in the lock at the top, and then all the way down the valley. How lucky I am to be here, and when the weather is beautiful like it is today, and I can go outside of my bedroom door and I have an island, a mountainous island to go running on. It's just fantastic to be free running up on the hills there, and thank you very, very much for this opportunity.
I think, well, we've had a brilliant week weather-wise, so that has, I think, really lifted everyone's spirits, because we've had 4 or 5 days of calm weather, not to mention sunshine. But I think the most striking thing is the stillness, which is so amazing. When you have constant wind, you don't realise how that wears you down, how exhausting it is just moving around between buildings. And when it's suddenly still, I just find it the most extraordinarily sort of peaceful, relaxing sensation. It's like suddenly everything seems possible.
Rosemary's upbeat mood is in part due to the flourishing Schoolhouse, which has become the focus for a relaxed timetable of work and play.
And what's that one? Which one do you want? Yellow. Yellow, give her the yellow one. Well done. Give it to Kira.
No, that one.
Felix, your turn.
I want to describe how the Schoolhouse is blossoming and how it's stimulating really creative learning. We've always thought, when we first saw it back in November, that it was had enormous potential for creative learning with its situation. It's sitting atop a pristine white sandy beach, which the kids love. The door opens out onto a little balcony from which they barely fall off and walk down onto sand and often play for hours. So it's a kiddie's place and it's a kiddie's building. The size of the space, the shape of the space, what's in the space, the view from the space. It's intensely exciting. It's producing maths, and it's producing reading, and it's producing little characters. And I don't believe there are many schools around that can give their kids that sort of experience.
Roger's delight with the schoolhouse is soon overtaken by concern for the state of supplies as he and Sandy are mysteriously spotted heading for the remote building at the other end of the island.
Wait, you're about to get on the boat.
Really? Oh, right. Am I? Oh, I see. I'm following Sandy's orders.
We have a critical situation with the food. We have been informed categorically that we cannot get any more food until Wednesday next week. And I have serious doubts if we can truly manage a reasonably well-balanced diet for everybody in that time. What are you going to do?
Well, you better speak to her.
So, we have taken the initiative to do some shopping on Harris.
Unknown to the production team, a local boat owner has been delivering contraband to the island, and Roger and Sandy are planning to hitch a ride.
Well, as I say, there's a healthy contraband flow, and I've been slipped a few quid.
Unaware of Roger and Sandy's plans, some of the castaways are compiling their contraband shopping list.
So I've got a bottle of whiskey, and I started off with 2 Cadbury's chocolate button Easter eggs, but it's gone up to 3.
I really want some fresh orange juice. I've got to have some of that because I'm dying for lack of it.
There's cash here of the order of 300, 200.
My own personal feeling, I'm absolutely disgusted by it all. Because I came here as a castaway, but there again, you get dragged into the cesspit of illicit goods, don't you? So you have to live with it.
Contraband everywhere. Contraband heaven. As Taryn say. You know? Island of pirates.
Ooh! So, I feel wealthy. How they trust me is another story.
You think they do trust you?
I don't think they would have given it to me without some degree of trust. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Good luck, Sand.
Thanks, Ron.
Good luck, Roger.
Thanks. See you soon.
And we'll see you when we see you.
He began to talk about the lack of foliates for his children. This was 9 days later. I suddenly look back and see that as the roots of another crisis that Roger has engineered out of his own insecurities. We have had so many, the schoolhouse, the meningitis, the dogs, and one thought that this sort of vein of behaviour was exhausted, but suddenly the next crisis is the lack of fresh vegetables for the children.
They didn't ask anyone, they didn't consult with anyone.
We're not castaways. It's ridiculous.
Now to be seen in a Safeways or some store on the mainland to be quickly solving a minor problem seems an absurd situation to have got ourselves in, and something I'd rather not be associated with.
I really feel that we don't need at present, that a week and a half without vegetables is not an emergency because of what we have around us and what we can use.
Right, the next thing is to see if we can find some coffee, because we're right out of coffee due to a shortfall in the order we received last time.
Okay, admittedly they're only potatoes, and we got a bag of beetroot and some celery and a bag of onions.
But I mean, 6 days left to go. 6 days, and you can make loads of lovely meals with potatoes.
7 days.
7 days.
But, you know,
If they'd been here in January, I mean, we were like, oh, turnips and parsnips. Oh, what can we do today? Next week, oh, more turnips and parsnips. What can we do? And that was all we had. And we managed fine.
My way around here, I'll have to we have got fruit and veg there. I'm just looking, I don't know my way around the supermarket.
Oranges, marmite, you make homemade bread, mushrooms, almonds, apricots, dates,
Orange, currants.
There was no need for anybody to leave the island at all, and I think the excuse of having lack of food was a feeble one.
Of course, all the signs in the supermarket are in Gaelic, facing this way. I can't read any of them.
Does this take you back to the selection process, Sandy?
I suppose there is an element. Oh, yes.
I've come up to the video diary room to register my support for Roger and Sandy in leaving the island and going to the mainland to buy provisions.
Following a night off the island, Roger and Sandy return with the supplies.
In the bag. What about carrying another box in the bag?
Now the food's here, everyone is eating that food apart from Toby and Peter, to which again is having mixed feelings. But as far as I'm concerned, everyone is entitled to their point of view, and therefore if they feel that to stress their views they shouldn't eat that food, then let them not eat it.
I could be childish and say, oh, I don't want to eat that. Or I could be a hypocrite and eat it. And I'd rather be childish than a hypocrite. It's a no-win situation for me, and I really wish they hadn't gone over.
They obviously thought they were going on a mercy mission to go and get us some supplies, but they've upset a lot of people in the process.
Trish was hurt, Toby was hurt, Des was hurt, Trevor was hurt, Mike was hurt, I was hurt, Peter was hurt, Sheila was hurt. I think that's a pretty huge proportion of the community.
We got you vegetables and fruit and salmon and turkey for Easter and everything that you need to grow because you're a growing man.
I think they're turning their years politically here an awful lot.
In my opinion, and in the opinion of several others, this is a completely manufactured crisis.
Roger and Sandy are brought before the community to account for their actions.
Roger and Sandy, I'm a bit disappointed that you two took it upon yourselves to go to the mainland and get food. You've taken away from the community as a whole the option to kind of limit ourselves to portions of food. And an element of Castaway again has gone.
What I find hard to accept is that you just took it upon yourselves to do it. It wasn't even like the kitchen group agreed to do it. You know, the people who were responsible for the ordering. What I'm saying is you didn't consider the community's opinion. You just did it because you thought it was right without asking other people, particularly the people who say do the food ordering. I think you could have taken the time to come to Sheila and say, Sheila, do you think this is on, or maybe it isn't on? That's all I'm saying. But the reason you're getting a harsh reaction is some people are really upset and disappointed, and it's spoilt for them the integrity of the project.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in sitting there laughing, Roger.
There is.
Well, could you respond, please?
Yeah, if I'm invited, but there are other people with their hands up.
Well, I find you laughing at what I'm saying quite offensive.
Well, if you want me to react, and the chairman wants me to react to the integrity of the project, I will.
No, I'd like you to react to the individual versus community thing, please.
I'm reacting to your comment on spoiling the integrity of the project.
That's not what I'm asking you to react to. I'm really upset and disappointed by this.
Why? I mean, this is just flummoxes me. Why do Roger and Sandy take it upon themselves to address their principle at the risk of everyone else's principle? Because as Toby said, you know, as I'm sure an awful lot of us have said, we actually feel now a lot worse than we did before you did it. And had you brought that up at a meeting, we would have resisted it enormously.
This is not a game for us. I can appreciate why it's a lot of fun for a lot of people here who don't have responsibilities like children. I wish I was in that position here. It would be fantastic. But I'm afraid our game is a much more serious one.
It's at those moments of so critical problems of, you know, this feeling of desperation for the children that some sort of creativity and imagination can come into play. And when you're faced with that problem, and we're short of greens, if that was the issue, I mean, you go into the greenhouse and we've got loads and loads of radishes. They might not have big radishes on, but the tops are covered in green, and they're so full of minerals and vitamins and foliates.
There was plenty of food. I would have never... There's plenty of food out there. Maybe for the children, they were lacking in vegetables, but for most of us, I'm sure, we didn't think we were starving or going to starve until the next boat delivery.
I can appreciate the fact that they didn't consult the community, and ideally we would have had 3 days to think about it. We could have sat down, discussed it, whatever. It was a spontaneous, adventurous decision, and I suspect they realised some people wouldn't approve, but it had got to the point where we were at a brick wall, and, you know, we feel so strongly about this.
Ex post facto rationalisation.
Roger then puts it into...
Could you explain that? It's a bit intellectual.
No, he's just showing off.
I'm not sure.
It's my turn next, anyway.
I'm not showing off at all. I'm saying you're rationalising after the event about the spirit of adventure.
I said not after the event. I said that the minute Roger left. Okay, it was a pretty scary moment for me. Okay, it was a pretty scary moment. I went and did a video diary, and I explained what I felt then. It's not ex post facto whatever. That's what I feel about it. Okay. Now I can accept you feel disappointed and it's not what you wanted, but we felt disappointed when the community have done things that we don't. Well, that's what a community's about. Yeah, right. And sometimes that happens. You know, we made a decision, and we thought it was for the benefit of the community. Okay. And I think to have this sort of high moral, you know, and in fact you're all happy to get your whiskey and your cigarettes. I mean, that's what I find amazing, absolutely gobsmacking, that as long as you get back your whiskey and your cigarettes and all your contraband stuff, that's fine. But they went to get some broccoli and carrots for the kids, and somehow there's this huge kind of moral problem.
What the real nub of the issue is that you just went on your own bat and took a decision without asking everybody, right? And you're sort of sitting there, it seems to me, gloating about it.
I am very proud of what I did.
Right.
It was very depressing to see that people couldn't see the sense of adventure and fun in it. Very sad, slightly pompous, slightly sanctimonious, and frankly depressing.
As tempers fray and emotions run high, it promises to be a hot summer on Tarrantay.
Feeling another man's bottom and having sex with another man is dirty. It says so in the Bible.
There are definitely more drama queens on Tarrantay than in any gay pub or club I've ever been to in my life.
If I was at home and felt like this, I'd be in the nearest pub and I'd be pissed out my brain, I would.
It's all getting a bit nasty.
If there wasn't women and children in this room, I'd throw this plate at you. Yes, I would.
Really useful contribution, Ron, as usual.
I'm bored talking about it, and I'm bored with the trivia, and I'm bored with living here, and I want to go home.